Footsteps fade where noise once lived. Rooms remember who never spoke. Eyes lower before words arrive. Air shifts when calm walks in. No threats carved into the walls. No need for names on doors. Pressure built without a sound. Gravity learned its lesson. Storms announce themselves. Mountains do not. Silence holds the weight. Silence holds the weight. Nothing raised, nothing wasted. Silence holds the weight. Hands steady when others shake. Time bends toward discipline. Every move measured twice. Nothing borrowed from anger. Respect earned in absence. Fear taught without display. Still water trains the current depth. Never asked permission. Volume is a request. Stillness is a fact. Silence holds the weight. Silence holds the weight. Silence holds the weight. No explanation given. Silence holds the weight. Legacies don't echo loud, they settle into stone. Crowds chase the sound of thunder. History listens for quiet men. When the room finally empties, only pressure remains. Nothing spoken, nothing lost. Everything understood. Silence holds the weight. Always did. Morning breaks without applause. Steel sharpens in the dark. No mirrors needed for proof. No audience for discipline. Promises kept in pride. Failures buried without names. Routine carved deeper than hope. Patience trained like muscle. Crowns fall from loud heads. Spines stay straight along. No witness required. No witness required. Work speaks after the fact. No witness required. Hands move before doubt speaks. Breath stays slow under pressure. Nothing rushed, nothing chased. Distance favors the calm. Praise ignored like weather. Criticism passes the same. Consistency writes the contract. Time signs every page. cage. Validation is rented. Ownership is permanent. No witness required. No witness required. Results don't need a crowd. No witness required. When doors finally open, the knock is already old. Preparation arrived years earlier, while others were explaining plans. No speeches left to give, no stories polished bright, only outcome standing still, asking nothing back. No witness required. Never was. Shadows move before titles form. Reputation travels without escort. No banners raised in advance, no hunger for recognition. Steps taken when eyes were gone, lessons paid in full. Confidence sits low and heavy, like iron cooling in air. Noise begs to be seen, weight doesn't last. Not announced. Earned, not announced. Nothing sold, nothing staged. Earned, not announced. Calm answers every test. Impulse left outside the room. Strength measured by restraint. Victory by what stayed hidden. Every scar accounted for, every win kept plain. Respect arrives on its own when forced exits fail. Performance fades fast, foundation remains earned, not announced. Earned, not announced. A legacy doesn't shout. Earned, not announced. Years pass without explanation. Names age into meaning. No chase for younger noise. No fear of quiet nights. When the dust finally settles, only substance remains. Nothing claimed out loud. Everything already known. Heard, not announced. That's the rule. Still water runs the deepest, and the deepest men don't speak first. The river doesn't argue with the stone, it moves around. It just keeps moving slow and sure without a single sound. A man who knows his weight don't need to throw it in the air. He walks into a room, the room already knows he's there. Spent years watching loud men burn through everything they built. Left their names in ash and apologies and guilt. I learned to close my mouth the way a vault door closes shut. The quietest answer to a question is the deepest cut. They wait for me to breathe. They count the time in silence. I let them wait. Still water don't announce itself. It fills every space. It takes the shape of everything but never leaves a trace. You only feel its depth when you've already gone too far. The loudest thing about a still man is the distance that he keeps. That's where I am. That's where I sleep. I watched a man talk himself into a corner he can't leave. Convince a room of nothing while he's desperate to believe. I've sat across the table with my coffee getting cold. Let the silence do the work that all the talking couldn't hold. There's a kind of strength that doesn't look like strength at all. It's the kind you recognize in men who don't anticipate the fall. They already know it's coming. They just step aside and wait. There's no performance in their posture, no performance in their faith. Some things only come to those who learn to sit with what they don't control. No rushing it, no chasing it. It's not patience, it's just knowing how this goes. My father never raised his voice the 20 years I watched. And every man who tried to break him found himself at loss. Not from fear, from recognition. Something older, something clean. There are men you push against and men you simply step between. Now I carry what he left me like a stone inside my chest. No display, no declaration, just the weight and all the rest. Still water at the surface, something colder underneath. And the ones who need to know it, they will know it when we meet. Still water don't announce itself, it fills every space. It takes the shape of everything but never leaves a trace. You only feel its depth when you've already gone too far. The loudest thing about a still man is the distance that he keeps. That's where I am. That's where I sleep. Still water, still here, still moving. Nothing worth keeping came easy. And easy men don't keep much. Before the dawn had any color, there was work already done. No applause at 5 in the morning, no approval from the sun. Just a man and what he owes himself in the dark before the day. All the reasons why he started have long since faded away. Now it runs on something deeper, something bone and muscle, no. Something built in repetition underneath the weight and cold. To see the finished version and the call is something given. Every scar along the way becomes the proof that you have lived it. No one watched it happen. No one needs to know that part was never for them. Every callus tells a story that a trophy never could. Every morning that you showed up when you didn't think you would. Soft men admire the outcome, hard men understand the cost. That's the line between the ones who built it and the ones who got it lost. Built not born, earned not given, quiet not worn. On the outside, built not born. Discipline ain't punishment, it's loyalty to something true. It's deciding every morning who you promised you become. Not for legacy, your legacy's approval or its name. Just the mirror and the man inside it looking just the same. When the weather turned and everything went sideways for a year. Didn't fold into my grievances, didn't trade my way in fear. Kept the routine like a ritual, kept the hours like a creed. Cause a man without a structure is a man without his feet. There are shortcuts everywhere, they all lead to the same place. A man who skipped the building, standing on an empty stage, wearing someone else's posture, speaking someone else's lines. I'll take the longer road, I got nothing but time. 10 years from now, the ones who laugh will understand the math. Every compound interest paid by every step along the path. There's a version of yourself that only suffering reveals, not the one you plan to be, the one that finally heals. I don't talk about the process, because the process isn't yours. What I built belongs to no one standing on the other side of those doors. When they ask me how I got here, I will simply hold my peace. Some things only make sense in the language of the least. Every callus tells a story that a trophy never could. Every morning that you showed up when you didn't think you would. Soft men admire the outcome, hard men understand the cost. That's the line between the ones who built it and the ones who got it lost. Built not born, earned not given, quiet not worn. On the outside, built not born. Built from the ground, no foundation borrowed, no cornerstone given. Fire burns loud, but smoke travels further. The ones who shout their names the loudest fade the quickest too. A candle burning from both ends forgets what candles do. Watched a man burn through 3 decades chasing what they'd say. And at the end of all the chasing, there was nothing left to wait. There's another kind of man who doesn't need the room to turn, who lights the fire low and steady, lets it slowly earn. By the time the others noticed, he was never trying to be seen. He was building something permanent, somewhere between the scenes. No announcement, no arrival, just the evidence left over time. The smoke stays low, moves quiet, covers more ground that way. What a man builds in the shadows lies beyond his given days. The loudest names are the first ones that the next generation forgets. The smoke stays low, and the smoke stays long. When the fire's all spend. Let it build, let it breathe, let the legacy move on its own. Reputation isn't what you say about yourself in polished rooms. It's what the man who owes you nothing says when no one's watching soon. It's the ones you never ask to speak who speak the loudest in the end. The measure of a man is in the silence of his oldest friends. Never chased a platform, never needed one to stand. Never shaped my words to fit inside another person's hand. What I build in service to the thing itself alone. Not the recognition of it, just the building of the bone. History doesn't care about you need to be remembered. It only notes what lasted, what the winter couldn't weather. Build a thing that earns its place. In absence of your name, the smoke stays low, and low things are the last to feel the flame. There are men alive today whose names no textbook ever kept, who shake the ground beneath the feet of every man who slept. Comfortable and certain of the world they took as given, never asking who laid down the planks on which they're living. That's the kind of weight I'm after. Invisible and sure, not the metal at the table, but the thing beneath the floor. When the last man who remembers me is walking into dust, what I left behind will still be standing there because it must. The smoke stays low, moves quiet, covers more ground that way. What a man builds in the shadows lies beyond his given days. The loudest names are the first ones that the next generation forgets. The smoke stays low, and the smoke stays long when the fire's already spent. Let it build, let it breathe, let the legacy move on its own. Long after the noise settles, long after the room empties, the smoke stays. Fire moves men, the real ones know where to put it. Anger is the cheapest thing a man can spend on any day. Every fool has got enough to throw the rest of it away. I've been wronged by men who thought that I would answer in their key, play their tempo, match their volume, give them what they came to see. But the thing they never counted on, the thing they never read, is a man who stores his fire somewhere useful in his chest. Let them speak their piece and empty out the full weight of their pride. I was somewhere farther forward while they burn themselves alive. Not forgiveness, not indifference, something colder, something useful. Control burn clears the ground for what comes after, not before. It's not anger that I'm burying, it's choosing what it's for. Raw fire destroys the harvest and the field and all the seed. A man who holds the flame in both hands decides what's going to breathe. That's the difference between a wildfire and the man who wields it right. I've seen rage dress itself in principles and call it standing ground. I've seen pride parade as justice, making dignified sounds. And at the bottom of that pageantry, below the righteous noise, is a man who couldn't manage himself, reaching for his voice. Real restraint ain't weakness, wearing patience like a coat. It's the engineer who knows which boat holds everything afloat, who tightens it precisely while the others strip the threads, who finishes the work each night and quietly goes to bed. The ones who never learn to hold it, spend their lives repaying what they burned. Every bridge reduced to cinders, every lesson bought but never learned. I took the long way past that version, walked it straight into the cold. Some things are only sharpened by the grip that keeps them controlled. Now I sit with difficult men, the way a climate sits with stone. Patient, inevitable, requiring nothing but its own. Don't mistake the quiet for a welcome, or the calm for something soft. This water has a temperature, I've simply kept it locked. When it matters, when the moment knows the weight of what I hold, I can choose the exact degree, not a word beyond the code. Rage is just a compass that the undisciplined mistake for Noir. A controlled burn is a man deciding what the fire's worth. The control burn clears the ground for what comes after, not before. It's not anger that I'm burying, it's choosing what it's for. All fire destroys the harvest and the field and all the seed. A man who holds the flame in both hands decides what's going to breathe. That's the difference between a wildfire and the man who wields it right. Still burning, always has been. You just never saw it until now. Thunder cracks, but leaves no mark upon the stone. Voices rise and scatter like leaves the wind has thrown. The air grows heavy where the steady presence stands. No declaration needed when the ground already understands. Time reveals the hollow in the frantic plea. The world bends not to the shout, but to the one who holds his tongue. In the hush that rules, empires form and come undone. The world bends not to the shout, but to the one who holds his tongue. Respect arrives uncalled for those who never chase discipline. The shadow casting bears it pays. Rage may burn the moment, but it turns to smoke. The calm collects the power that the tempest never spoke. The world bends not to the shout, but to the one who holds his tongue. In the hush that rules, empires form and come Legacy is whispered in the spaces left between. No need for crowds to witness what the years have seen. The man who masters quiet wears the unseen crown, while others beg for echoes that the silence swallows down. The shout, but to the one who holds his tongue in the hush that rules empires form and come undone. The world bends not to the shout, but to the one who holds his tongue. The hush that rules. Rivers carve their canyons long before the maps appear. Builders stack the cornerstones where no one stops to cheer. The work continues steady through the turning of the days. No signature demanded when the structure holds its weight. Validation is the chain that binds the lesser kind. The stones unmarked will stay when statues crack and fall. What indoors was never built to hear the crowd's applause. The stones unmarked will stay when statues crack and fall. Footprints in the concrete fade, but foundations never do. The quiet contribution shape the world that passes through. No need to broadcast purpose to the ones who come and go. The legacy is living in the things they never know. The stones unmarked will stand when statues crack and fall. What indoors was never built to hear the crowd's applause. The stones unmarked will stand when statues crack and fall. Sift the pretenders from the ones who truly gave. The ones who sought no witness still control the final grave. Power lies in absence of the need for others' eyes. The work itself the only judge that never compromises. The stones unmarked will stay when statues crack and fall. What indoors was never built to hear the crowd's applause. The stones unmarked will stand when statues crack and fall. Stones unmarked. Flames consume the forest in a single blinding flash. It sees beneath the soil await the calming ash. The hand that grips too tightly only breaks the fragile reed, while steady pressure molds the steel that future wars will need. Control is not denial, but the master of the fire. The cold flame burns eternal, where the wild blaze expires. Restraint forges weapons that no fury can acquire. The cold flame burns eternal, where the wild blaze expires. Respect is paid in silence to the one who never breaks. Discipline the currency no auction ever takes. Rage is sold for nothing till the highest bidder's call. The measurement collects the debts that time repays in full. A cold flame burns eternal, where the wild blaze expires. Restraint forges weapons that no fury can acquire. The cold flame burns eternal, where the wild blaze expires. Forward motion measured, never hurry, never stall. The path is clear by patience where the reckless ones are crawl. No explanation offered for the strength that goes unseen. The quiet power operates behind the violent scene. The cold flame burns eternal, where the wild blaze expires. Restraint forges weapons that no fury can acquire. The cold flame burns eternal, where the wild blaze expires. The cold flame burns. Mountains never announce their height, the passing clouds. Yet every river bends and every traveler looks up. The quiet weight of presence settles heavier than stone. No words are spent explaining what the years have carved alone. Respect is never taken, only given when it must. They bow not to the crown that shines for all to see, but to the shadow that commands without decree. They bow not to the crowd that shines for all to see. Men who chase approval leave their honor in the dirt, while steady hands collect the tribute silence earns by worth. No need to raise the voice when actions speak in time. The ones who truly matter learn to read between the lines. They bow not to the crown that shines for all to see, arrives like winter, cold, deserved and slow. It settles on the shoulders of the ones who never show. The hunger for attention is the chain that holds men small. The quiet carry kingdoms, no loud voices ever rule. They bow, not to the crown, it shines for all to see, but to the shadow that commands without decree. They bow not to the crown that shines for all to see. The shadow that commands. Steel is born inside the fire, but shaped outside the flame. Order turns the chaos into purpose without name. The loose man drifts forever, prisoner of every wind. Why disciplined hands build the future they intend? Freedom is an absence, it's the mastery you own. The freest man is bound by iron in the veins. Discipline delivers what indulgence never gains. The freest man is bound by iron in the veins. Every dawn repeats the test that weaker men refuse. The cold choice made in silence is the one that shapes the muse. Comfort whispers sweetly, but it steals tomorrow's light. Discipline stands patient in the long unending night. The freest man is bound by iron in the veins. Discipline delivers what indulgence never gains. The freest man is bound by iron in the veins. Oh, 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 oh. External master holds the one who rules himself. He walks through every storm untouched by blame or wealth. The years will show the difference between those who merely live and those who forge their freedom through the choices they forgive. The freest man is bound by iron in the veins. Discipline delivers what indulgence never gains. The freest this man is bound by iron in the veins. Iron in the veins. Wheels turn on roads where no one waits to wave goodbye. Footprints fill with dust beneath indifferent sky. Past me calling echoes, but the answer stays the same. A man who keeps his motion never plays that losing game. Regret is just an anchor for the ones who fear to move. He walks into tomorrow with no need to justify. The long horizon calls, only forward meets the eye. He walks into tomorrow with no need to justify. Explanations weaken what the action makes precise. The measured stride continues past the pleading and the lies. No backward glances given to the things that couldn't last. Legacy is motion, everything else fades too fast. He walks into tomorrow with no need to justify. The long horizon calls, only forward meets the eye. He walks into tomorrow with no need to justify. Time forgives the silent more than those who beg and plead. The man who keeps advancing plans tomorrow's every seed. No validation needed from the watchers on the side. He simply moves eternal with the quiet and the tide. He walks into tomorrow with no need to justify. The long horizon calls, only forward meets the eye. He walks into tomorrow with no need to justify.